Hello, welcome to EVE Online. My name's Fragfrog, and in this video I'm going to show you from the very beginning, day one, just minutes old character, how you can start making some decent ISK doing scanning and hacking in nullsec. Just created this character, Lady Fragfrog, went for a female character this time. All brand new. I've claimed the 1 million free skill points. Let me just show you that. Where's that? There we go. Claim the 1 million free skill points, but we're not going to be using them for this video because it's just not necessary. And of course, I don't like recommending to new players that you put all of your free skill points into a certain thing before you've tried it out. So, although I could make this easier for myself by dumping that 1 million skill points into these skills here, I am just going to drag a couple of those just to start skill training. But I'm not going to inject any skill points in them because, again, you might not enjoy scanning or hacking, so there's no point doing that. But if you do enjoy it, then it is beneficial to put some skill points in these, and that 1 million free skill points helps you along the way. But I'm going to be doing this on a basic everything. As you can see, 5,000 ISK, we've got nothing, no money, no skills, no nothing really. So, and we're an alpha account. So first thing I'm going to do, or I have done, is I've gone to a career. I've done the tutorial. In theory, I skipped it because I don't need to, but do the tutorial and then go over here to the agency on your Neocom, and then go to agency and missions, and then go to career agents. This should be guiding you there anyway in the tutorial. And then you'll see a list of agents here, the closest to you, and you can just right click and set destination and then head to them. And in the agents tab on the station window here, I'm not sure why it's not generating the pictures, but you'll see a list of 5 agents. Now, as a new player, you want to do all of these. Even if you don't think you're interested in it, you get quite a bit of money learning how to manufacture and stuff like that. It's all basic core skills, and they give you some money and some free ships and stuff too. And even if you don't want the free stuff that you get, you can just sell them and have more money to put into something that you do want. But the reason I'm here is because, well, technically it is possible to hack and scan in this thing. It's certainly not recommended. We want a more dedicated ship, and you get one for free with all the modules we're going to need by running the career agent mission line. There's only 5 missions. It's really fast. I'm going to take you through them step by step as I go, but if you don't want to watch it, if you've already done it, or you don't think you just want to watch the whole 5 missions, it shouldn't take more than 10-15 minutes, but I'll try and timestamp the video so you can just skip ahead to when we actually head out into nullsec and start scanning. So I'm going to double click the agent here, Career Explorer, and I'm not going to dwell too much on what this is saying, but basically the gist is we need to go and warp to a pre-warpable area. We don't need to scan anything down. It's going to teach us how to use bubbles to probe scan and how to hack things, sort of, using a little mini game. It's quite a very simple, not all that explanatory tutorial, but it gives you the very basics. So I'm just going to accept that. As you can see, it's going to give us a smidge over 200,000 ISK. So we're already making some good money based on the 5,000 we have right now. But we don't need anything for this. We're just going to undock. And it wants us to pick up a proof of discovery. Now, one thing I do want to do, I'm not going to load the frog view overlay, which is an overlay I've made to make EVE sort of plug and play, so you don't have to faff around with all this. I have done a video on that, and I will be doing a version 2 update very soon, so check that out on the channel if you're interested in having a much better overview and overlay than this. But what I'm going to do is bring 2 things up that we're going to need straight away. So down by, this is your cap circle down here. If you're brand new, look to the left of that. You have this button called Scanners here. Click that. And then to the left, probe scanner. Click that. And then we're going to go up here to where the probe scanner's opened. Press this little open in separate window white box on the top right. And pop that out. And then close the map. I'm going to repeat. Down by your cap window, your cap circle down here, go to scanners. And this time on the right, directional scanner. Press that. Open the top right. Press the white square box. Pop that out into a separate window. And there we go. We have 2 windows that we're going to need. And I like to have those, we just left click drag that little notification feed thing over there so it's not in the way. I like to have my directional scanner window somewhere down there, my overview just above, my selected item menu there, and the probe scanner window at the top. Now briefly, I'm going to order this probe scanner window by signal, so I see cosmic signals at the top, cosmic signatures. You can also, if you want to, go to filter and turn off anomalies. Now very briefly, the difference between anomalies and signatures. Anomalies, they're always green. That means you can always just right-click them and warp to. Signatures, you can't. Signatures, you have to probe scan down first. When you've scanned a signature, it's going to also turn green and look like one of these anomalies, but by default it's red because you need probes to find it. So the instructions for this mission were to simply warp to an anomaly training site and collect a proof of discovery. So right-click any anomaly training site and we'll go pick that up. And I think it's mission 2, maybe, that we get... I think maybe that's when we get the ship and the modules that we're going to need. Like I say, if you don't want to watch all this, just skip ahead. I'm just going to go through all 5 missions. Okay, arriving in the site. Feel free to read that if you want to. I saw a container. There we go. Good way to learn how to manually fly, because if I just approach that, we're going to bounce off this asteroid. So what I'm going to do is just look sort of down here, double left click in space, turn the afterburner on. Let's just go around this asteroid. And then once we get around, imagine like a sort of invisible box-ish thing, using some inertia, just press approach on the container, and this should loop us around the bottom of this one, but we're now getting too close, I think, to the top of that asteroid, so we can double left click sort of over there. If I turn the tactical overlay on, you can see this line and the circle is where I'm heading. This line is where my ship's currently facing. There we go. That's just sort of in there. So turn the afterburner off. Control space to stop the ship because it takes a little while. 2,500 meter range to loot. Open up the cargo. Loot all. Got the proof of discovery. Let's head back and complete mission 1. And rest in peace, whoever flew their ship straight into an asteroid. Okay, double click the Career Explorer Agent. Tick tick. Complete mission. There we go. Making some money. Request missions are number 2 of 5. Here we're going to get the probe. So it depends which faction you've picked. Factions in this game don't matter. You can fly everything, but you will start with certain skills. And in my case, I picked a Minmatar character. So if I head into Spaceship Command, scroll down, everyone gets Mining Frigate, but I get Minmatar Frigate. You might have a Mar, Caldari, or Galente Frigate, and they all do the same job. We just have a look at the ship info here. This is the probe, this is the Minmatar version. As you can see, quite a bit of duct tape holding this little rusty thing together, but it is quite a cool ship. What they all have in common is they all have bonuses to scanning. So 7.5% bonus to core and combat probe scanner strength per level, skill per level of Minmatar Frigate, or Caldari, or Amar, or whatever, and also salvage duration too, but I haven't found all that useful. And they also contain a roll bonus for Relic and Data Analyzer Virus Strength, which is also going to come in handy because some of the sites can be a little bit more difficult. Though with a bit of luck and a little bit of skill, which I'm going to go over in the video, you can get most containers without blowing them up. So let's go ahead and accept this mission. What does it want us to do for this one? Sending you to a training facility where you'll encounter safe examples of what you'll find out there using the ship. Follow the instructions you're given on site. Okay, so we're going to get in the ship. So where's me neocom? It's over on the wrong side to what I'm used to. That by icons. Double click the ship. Let's call it the Frogger. You don't have to give a ship a name, but it is recommended. Skip that. Alright. Let's go ahead and undock, and it should tell us where to go. Here we go. Top left up here, under opportunities, warp to site. So we're just going to warp to that. This is basically just a generic, randomly generated mission. It's kind of how it's going to look when you do regular missions later on. Just generates a site temporarily in space for a couple of hours. While we're in warp here, I am actually going to go up to these little 3 dots in the top right of all of these windows. I'm going to put them in compact mode, and then always enable always above full screen views on all of them. So enable compact mode, always above full screen views, compact mode, and always above full screen views. And then on the capacitor circle down here, same thing. These three white lines in the very bottom right corner. Click that and go to always above full screen views. Some more text here. This has warped us to an acceleration gate. So let's go ahead and approach that. Got to be inside this blue ring to be able to activate an acceleration gate. And these things kind of they kind of gatekeep who and what type of ships. Well, only really what type of ships can get into a site. So things like faction warfare rely on these to keep super OP ships from obliterating super tiny fragile Newbros in frigates. Pretty handy to have. Just going to activate the Stargate here, or the acceleration gate I should say. And we're inside a site. Ah, okay, yeah, so this is where we get the stuff that we need. So just go to slow boat over to these exploration supplies, double left clicking in space here. You can also just approach the supplies themselves. So what the enable above full screen views thing does is if I open the solar system map up here in the top right, and on the top left corner of the probe scanner window, that's going to pop that open. Now I don't want this. This is the directional scanner thing. This is something completely different. So we are going to be using that later on for defensive purposes. But for now, I don't want to see the cone. I never want to see the cone. It's just too much stuff. So I'm going to press this little circle and three lines in the top left of the directional scanner window. That's going to remove that and leave a nice clean map. And we have the cap circle here, and we also have everything we need to be able to see to stay alive on the right. Okay, made it to the exploration supplies. So I'm going to open that with this open cargo button. And in here we have a core probe launcher, a relic analyzer, a data analyzer, and some probes. Everything we need except a speed prop mod. We're going to need to go a bit faster than we are right now, so I want to buy a micro warp drive. And then we will be basically ready to go with everything we need. There's a couple of rigs I wouldn't mind getting if we can afford them, but they might be too expensive. So this is, well, not really what a hacking site is going to look like. This thing is what we're going to be hacking in data sites at least. Just making my way. There's nothing we need to do in this room. Just heading over to the acceleration gate. Activating that. I recommend if you are new to this game, get used to spamming every action. So you see how I press activate gate like 2 or 3 times. EVE Online works on a tick-based system where each second is a tick, a server tick. If you're unlucky, if you only press once, your action might get missed by the server. So just get used to basically it's like every second, every action that every player in the game has requested gets carried out. And for the most part, you don't notice it, but that's why when you double left click in space, if I open up the tactical overlay while we approach this gate, double left click over there, now it appears. So that's the server tick system. It's not lag. That's how the game's designed to be able to cope with so many people on the same sort of shard or same server. So sometimes if the tick happens right when you press activate gate just once, it might miss the request and not actually carry it out. So just get used to spam pressing every action just to make sure it actually happens. Okay, this should be the end of this mission. So we're going to go ahead and dock. And in the next mission, I believe we can finally get to start practicing some probe scanning. So warping back to the station to turn this in and pick up mission number 3. Okay, back in the station. Double clicking the agent. Everything's done, it's happy. Complete the mission can request the next one. Again, feel free to read through all this, just pause the video if you're following along. I've done it so many times and I'm hoping I'm doing it at a speed that is logical and easy enough for a brand new player to follow, as well as a veteran who just needs a reminder or a refresher to not get too bored. For this one though, it's going to give us a data site, which means you'll need a civilian data analyzer and you'll need to scan down the site. Alrighty? So, in the cargo hold for the ship, we have everything we need to complete this mission. So what I'm going to do is go up here to the fitting window, Alt F for Freddy for short, which is this button up here. Open up all these drop down menus, and I'm just going to simply drag everything we got over into that window. Now we're going to supplement this before we head out to nullsec, but for now this is more than enough to do this mission. So with that done, everything fitted, I'm going to go ahead and undock. And what I do for these missions, because we're in safe space, it's just control space, spam that a couple of times, and you see ship stopping down here. That's just going to stop us on the undock. So probe scanning is actually pretty simple. First thing you need to do is deploy your probes, and you do that just like any other weapon in the game. You just press your probe launcher. There you go. You can see the probes floating around here. This is what a probe looks like. Kind of cool. And there'll be 8 of them floating around you. You can only have 8 maximum, and I want to buy a second set, so I'm going to have 16 with me so that they auto reload after launching the first one. But for now, what we're going to do is head up over here into the probe scanning window. These cosmic signatures with the red X's are what we're looking for. I'm going to open the solar system map in the top left corner of that, and as you see now, we have this little nice collection of what's called pinpoint formation probes, 8 of them. And this is basically the only formation we're going to use, though I'm hoping we get a difficult site so I can show you a little trick too. But for now, let's keep it nice and simple. What I want to do is, in this game, or more or less all sites, cosmic signatures spawn and exist within 4 AU, which you can see here. This is the current size of the bubbles. This is the size they scan at. They exist within 4 AU of any celestial. A celestial is a planet. It's the sun. It's like anything like that, really. We're basically just planet and sun because everything else orbits around those. What I'm going to do, though, if you, looking at the map here, we just give you a complete rundown. You can pan around the map by holding right-click. You can left-click drag to look around like this. And the goal of probe scanning is just to place the center mass of these probes over the the red dots. But first, they're all these big circles. So this cosmic signature here, if you select it on the map, it auto selects it on the scanner window and vice versa. You see the red circle is quite big, so we need to pinpoint that down, and the goal is to pinpoint it to 100%. So what I was talking about with everything being within 4 AU of a planet or the sun makes this quite easy. So you see these two here. We got this one over here, and we got this one over here. They're both quite clearly the red rings cover. This one covers this planet over here, but it also covers this one over here, and this one definitely only covers this planet over here. See this planet here. If you zoom in all the way, you can see, oh god, where am I? There we go. You can see it has its own little orbital network. There we go. So this is what I'm talking about with a celestial. At the center of this is a planet. That's a celestial. So all I'm going to do is left click drag the bubbles, which you can also do using these arrows. Drag them up and down, left and right, and that way on 3 axes. Or you can just drag the center box. I'm going to drag them over. If I double left click in space, I can rotate between vertical view and horizontal view, which I like to use quite a bit. And the goal is just to make sure we put them over this planet, basically. So left click drag vertically, looking down from a bird's eye view, and then double left click in space, and then drag them down. Just rotate the screen around to get a better view for AU, and I'm going to go ahead and press B, or analyze. B is very, very useful. That's going to do a scan. I'm also going to talk about a couple of shortcuts we need to change too, just to make this more efficient and easier, at least in my opinion. You don't have to use the shortcuts if you don't want to, but I'll show you how to do it just in case. And just like that, we got 2 sites. We got a relic site over here, And we got a data site over here. Now, I could save both at this point. If you feel comfortable and this happens to you, then by all means just right-click, save location. I normally save them for 4 hours because they disappear normally after that. But I want to show you, again, how to scan, just so it becomes second nature. But this one here, data training site, this is done now. So we can just right-click that in space and warp to, or over here on the probe scanner window. That's the one, the data site is the one that the mission wants us to do. So that's the one we're going to go to. So we're done in here for now, so I can go ahead and press this button in the bottom right corner of the probe scanning window, recover active probes. That's going to suck them back in, which also does happen if you forget. In most cases, when you're docking, leaving system, they will pull your probes in, but there are some instances where I've had that not happen, so I don't quite know what the rules are there. Some more text that I recommend you read through if this is your first time doing this, but this is the general gist of this beginner's data site. It's generally kind of what they look like, but normally you'd get more of these containers. And this is what we're interested in, the training container. We're going to hack this. So this is a data site. This is like a, well, it's a kind of server, I guess, that we're going to hack into. It's not a criminal action in the game or anything like that, so you're not going to be in any trouble. This is just a legit way to do some exploration and have fun. So we're going to lock it up with a control click, or the target icon over here. Oh, I don't like that. Let's just drag the target anchor down here, which you do with this. See this little symbol here? You just drag that. I like to have mine down there somewhere, so I can have it near my modules. I'm going to press Control R, and that's going to reload my probes, which would happen automatically again if we had another set of probes in the hold, which I will be taking to nullsec. But this is targeted. This is a data site, so if we try and activate the relic analyzer, it's going to tell us you can't. You need to activate the data analyzer. And this is a very simplified version of the little mini game that we call hacking. And this should be quite straightforward. And these are just little nodes with little numbers on them, and we just need to basically find the core and try not to die to antiviruses. So we're basically the role of a virus at the moment. We have our virus coherence, which is our HP here, and we have our virus strength, which is our attack power here. I'll get more into that later on. For now, I'm just going to click these little nodes, just follow it around, a little bit like Minesweeper. And there we go, we found a nice, simple, no antivirus hack there, and inside, proof of discovery. Loot. And mission done, we can now dock. That's, it's a bit trickier when you're out in space, but that's the general gist of how you hack. And then what's inside the can, you can actually use a cargo scanner to see what's in the can, but please don't do that, because a lot of, well, some people go around and they cargo scan each container and only hack the most valuable containers, and then they just warp off and do it again. But when you complete a site, the site despawns. When you only complete certain cans, the site doesn't despawn and it just stays there forever. Well, not forever, but for a long, long time. So someone else has to come along and hack basically only worthless cans and clean up after someone else. Not recommended, even for you, because that means when you come back through that system later on, you might run into some of your old sites, rather than just complete it all, risk getting some slightly less valuable cans, and actually then having a new site when you come back through if you're doing the same route back and forth, which we'll get into in more detail. For now, Doctor, let's talk to the career agent and turn in that mission. This next one should be the same thing, but for relic sites. And indeed it is. So, getting into the gist of things now, let's go ahead and accept that and undock. Whip out the probes, and this time find a relic site. And again, I did find one already, but let's just go over the basics of probe scanning one more time. So, control space to stop the ship. I'll do it a bit faster this time. Deploy the probes and open the solar system map. There's the relic site we found. Each site has its own unique symbol. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this time the probes, holding right click to pan around, zooming in with middle mouse button, and moving the probes with left click drag. I'm going to go over this celestial here this time. Move them down. Yep, they seem pretty centered. 4AU, yep. And hit B to do a scan. It's quite a cluster here, so fingers crossed one of them's a relic site. You see your probes warp across the solar system. So they are actual physical objects in space that are going around. Alright, we have a few things here. We've got a couple of gas sites too, which will actually be quite handy, because we need to find a gas site for the last mission, but we have a relic site too, so let's go ahead and just right-click that. Warp to space. Warp to within 0, sorry. Recover active probes, over here in the bottom right of the probe scanning window, and then Control R to reload them by default. Again, I've got a whole overlay, just called the Frog View overlay, which aims to make Eve more plug and play. So I'm going to be doing another video on an updated version of that I have coming out soon, depending on when you're watching this video. It may or may not be already out, but I have got a video up there already of how you can get a much better overlay and overview and everything, and pre-set up shortcuts and everything like that, just to make Eve a little bit more accessible without so much fiddling with the small options. But I do need to get around to ironing out the kinks of the new update and putting out a new video as well with installation instructions. But so here we are in the relic site, and this one, as you can see, isn't a data site with spinning doohickeys. This is a crashed ship. So this is archaeology. Something's hit an asteroid and we're going to go and see what's inside it. So target the training container. Disable size from the overview so we can have a bit bigger name field. And then this time we're going to activate the relic analyzer. Same thing again. Click the nodes and let's look for the core. Now I'm going to go over what these numbers mean, I think, when we're out in nullsec to avoid information overload. Just want to get us open that and loot the proof of discovery. I just want to get us from the very beginning. I need a ship to obviously, having just made the character, I need a ship to be able to scan in, so that's what I'm aiming to do right now. And then I'll go over everything else for everyone else who has skipped this part once we've got everything we need. Let's walk back to the station, turn this one in, and then the last mission, we already found gas sites, and I think, hopefully, you understand the basics of probe scanning, and we'll go over the rest once we start heading out to Null. So I'm just going to warp to one of those gas sites we already found, just so we can complete the 5 string of missions. Let's turn that one in. And gas site... blah blah. Oh, we need a gas key. I always forget the gas key. Accepting this mission gives you a gas pass key, and without that you can't get into the site. So should have popped up in your item hanger here. Just pop that in your ship cargo here. And if you don't have this window, it's just this button here, inventory, on your Neocom, which I like to have at the bottom. So with the gas pass key in the cargo hold, let's go ahead and undock and warp to one of the gas sites we found earlier. Gas looks like this. Gas training site. Right click, warp to. Again, if you didn't find a gas site like I did, just by chance, by scanning other stuff, then you will need to pop your probes out and scan other signatures to be able to find the gas sites that you need. Now, the nature of these videos has changed a little bit, because now when you make a new character, you spawn in a brand new region called Exordium, which you can see up here. And that makes... well, it's not tricky to get out back to normal high sec, but it makes it tricky because I don't really know enough about Exordium to say at what point a new player should leave it. I think immediately, because Eve isn't a safe game and this is safe space. You cannot shoot anyone, you can't be ganked, nothing can happen at all. And in normal high sec, although you're protected by Concord, ganking is always a risk, although it's not very common. On the global scheme of things, it is still a risk. So I think getting players used to risk early on is beneficial. Approach the cargo container, grab the proof of discovery, and then hit the dock button over here. If, for example, you don't have this window for some reason, it should be under opportunities. Just open the drop-down list again, and it should appear. But yeah, so with turning this in, we'll see what's available on the market to see if we can make the ship a bit better, and then get out of Exordium and head to nullsec. So out of the cradle straight into the depths of hell, and we're going to be absolutely fine. Well, we might die, but it should be manageable. There we go. Career Explorer missions are now done. You got a red speech bubble here to signify that that is complete. And we don't need the gas passkey anymore. So that is the 5 Career Explorer missions done. We got the ship we need and all the modules we need. So with that done, let's crack on with the video for everyone else who may have skipped this part as well. Alright, so just completed the 5 missions for the Career Explorer agent here in the Career system. We got the ship with a relic and data analyzer, a core probe launcher, and 8 scanner probes, the bare minimum of what you need, and of course the ship, which gives it's the Minmatar version of the probe scanning ship, which gives a core and combat scanner probe strength bonus per skill level of Minmatar frigate. All skills maximum level 5, so that would be a max of 5 times 7.5% to combat core probe strength, which is what we're going to use to find the sites. Caldari, Galente, and Amar all have their own. Caldari have the Heron, Galente have the Imicus, and Amar have the Magnate. But I'm Minmatar, so I got given the probe. Hi, it's Fragfrog from the future. Quick correction about this actually. The civilian relics analyzer and the civilian data analyzer that you get in the career missions do not work in regular relic sites. So you need to remember to buy a relic analyzer 1 and a data analyzer 1 as well. They should be dirt cheap. You should easily have enough money left after buying all this other stuff. But do remember to do that, otherwise you won't be able to actually crack a can open once you find one. What I want to do before we head out of Exordium, the new player starting region, is I want to see what's on the market, because I want preferably a micro warp drive or at least an afterburner so we can go a bit faster, and we'll see if there's any rigs. But all I've got to work with here is the money made from those 5 missions I just did. So 854,000 ISK is just those 5 missions plus the 5,000 starting ISK. Let's go ahead and see. I'm going to type in 5MN, which is the name of basic frigate size micro warp drives. These are affordable. Got all the different versions here. By the way, in case this isn't on for you already, it actually might be on for me. In the market window here, with nothing typed in the search box, click Browse Filters and go to Show Only Available off, because that only shows things that are available, and I find that very annoying. I want to see all items in the entire game, whether they're listed in the market of the region that I'm in or not. Right, so 5MN. Let's see what we got. Do we have... The named ones are much more expensive. These are quite cheap. That's actually cheaper. So these two, Tech 1, Tech 2, these are manufactured by manufacturers with a blueprint, and these 3 all only drop from rats and loot. And these generally are better than Tech 1, but worse than Tech 2, but require less fitting skills than Tech 2. So we do have a few available. We have, well, 177,000 in station, or if we're willing to go 3 jumps, could get one for 40,000. What do we have in this station? Let's go to right-click, set destination. Let's go 3 jumps. Pick up one of these dirt cheap ones, because we are going to need it. And then we have... There are some rigs. I could just type in the name, but I'll show you where to find them. So in ship and module modifications, rigs, and scanning rigs, small scanning rigs, because small is frigate size. What I'm looking for is something to boost the strength of... You can either do the probe strength, or you can do the relic and data analyzer virus strength. So this one here, this increases the efficiency of a ship's relic modules. This does the same thing for scan probe strength, and this increases the efficiency of a ship's data modules. You have 3 rig slots, but you only have a certain amount of calibration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head to... Let's do the relic one first. And there is one at the station we're going to. You can see that's highlighted in yellow, so that means the current route we have takes us at least past there. I'm going to buy one of the relic rigs. I'm going to buy one of the... where was that? I'm trying to do this in a way that is easy to follow for new players too. Efficiency of data modules. I'm going to get one of those. We're now at 633,000. So that's both rig slots. If we go into the ship simulator, pressing this button here, this is going to allow us to fiddle around with the fit. If I fit that by dragging this icon onto the ship, it's going to pop it in there as if it was fitted. And then drag the relic one. You see that this calibration bar for rigs is all the way filled. And so that means those two rigs are all we can have. So we got better relic modules, better data modules, stronger virus strength and coherence and whatnot, which I'll cover once we get out and find a site. But that means, so we're done with rigs, that means the probe strength is still not great. So with the micro warp drive fitted, that's going to use a mid slot. That gives us one spare mid slot. And it just so happens there's a module for the mid slot that boosts our probe strength too. So let's see if we can get one of them. So I'm going to go to scanning equipment, and I'm going to go to scanning upgrades and find the, I think it's range finding array. Open up the info, increases the scan strength when scanning with scan probes. That gives us a 5% scan bonus. So scan range finding array, and that then says that we oh, you can't use those on an alpha account. Alright, okay, well forget that then. If you're an Omega, then definitely get this. But as an alpha you can't. So I guess we're just doing increased scanning strength for now. Should be okay. We'll be able to get most sites, maybe not all of them. So let's go pick up the see if we have any kind of nanofiber internal structure maybe. This isn't necessary, this is just going to help us go a little bit faster. Do we have any of these? Ooh, they're expensive. These, not so much. So let's go ahead and buy... no, we don't need any tank, so let's buy 3 of those, and that's going to help us be much more agile and also a bit faster. I'm just going to close the ship simulator, and we'll head over to where I bought all this stuff from and go fit it to the ship. So I'll skip to when I arrive. Right, just docking up at the manifest station now, which, if we look at the map, already appears to have become a little mini Jita. I think it's designed to be that way, given that it's right in the center, connected by all factions. Minmatar, Caldari, Gallente, Amar, all new players start here. Now, I don't know which time is the best time to recommend that a new player leaves this area, because this is all brand new. I think, personally, as soon as possible. This is the whole concept of a new player being put into safe space that they can't be attacked in. I think removes, personally, one of EVE's biggest strengths. The risk factor of being in space. You never know what's going to happen. So being in safe space, I don't think is really beneficial, and the income is very poor. So we are going to be leaving this immediately. But if you want to stay and do all the career missions, I do recommend doing that. But try not to stay too long, and definitely don't live in Exordium, because it's just not. It's not EVE. It's not the game. Anyway, so here's the stuff that we bought. So open up the ship fitting window with this little button up here, or there's another one on your Neocom here. And I'm just going to drag everything over here, and it's going to warn me that this rig can't be removed without destroying it. Press don't show me again. Make sure we get all those nano fibers. Oh, and probes. Yes, we need more probes. Core scanner. Probe. Give us 8 of those. I always carry a spare set just so they auto reload, but also in case I lose the first set. Don't need drones, although it can hold them. And we can't use a range finding array unless you're Omega, which this account isn't, so we're not going to be using one of them either. Ship's fitted and ready to go. So, next up, we need to get out of Exordium and find out where we're going to actually go scanning. And I think because I chose Minmatar, I'm going to be going to Nullsec. So, quick overview here. All these sites, all these regions, sorry, every single dot on this map is a system. And this is the whole of New Eden, minus the 2,000 or 3,000, if not more, wormhole systems, which you don't see. They're networked in the background. The game's huge. So all of these places in the middle, this is all high and low sec. Faction warfare takes place sort of in the middle of all these. You got Amar down here, Gallente here, Caldari here, and Minmatar over on the right. And then on the outskirts you have Nullsec. This is where there's some NPC Nullsec systems, or regions. And there's a lot of sovereignty-controlled regions. I think it's easier to do scanning in NPC-controlled space. And for that, I'm going to take us to, I think, Great Wildland. It really doesn't matter, and there are other ways to get in and out. But for the sake of this video, I think, because I'm Minmatar, I'm over on the right, I'm looking sort of where we're going to be coming out, somewhere in the Heimatar region. I'm just going to head to Great Wildlands. So what I need to do is, zooming in here on Great Wildlands, we need to find a safe-ish way in. And so for that, there are little needle jacks you can use to just plop yourself out of known space into nullsec and then just worry about getting out. Could actually work. I wonder if we should do it that way. But then again, no. That is one way of doing it. What you would do is type needle jack in here. You got noise and signal needle jack filaments. Noise sends you to a sort of random nullsec space of quiet sort of activity, and signal is it takes you to a busy area. I believe I didn't get that mixed up. And it'll just teleport us randomly into a nullsec system. But then you still got to worry about getting out, and it might put us in a really busy system. Okay, I'm not going to show you how to do the needle jack thing now, because you might not have the money, and in this case I don't have the money to be able to buy the stuff that we would need to get back safely, and it's just easier for me to demonstrate how you do it by showing you the old-fashioned way. So that's what I'm going to do here. So first thing I'm going to do is set a destination. I'm Minmatar, so I'm going to set a destination to this system here, all the way on the far edge. If you're a Mar, you would do it in this system here. Right click, set destination. Galente, you can do it here, set destination, and Kaldari here. You can go to any of them, but I want to be over this side of space anyway, so I'm going to head over to this station here, Detisolin, and go through a jump gate, which will allow us to leave Exordium and arrive hopefully in either Metropolis or Heimatar space. And then we're going to check out the map a bit more and find a safe way into nullsec. So we'll go ahead and undock, and I'm going to skip warping ahead to the 4 jumps and show you how to leave the safe region of Exordium. I should probably mention, just in case you're watching this video and you're like new, I do always try and see this game from the perspective of a new player. I know how confusing it can be as a returning player myself. It's a bit of a roller coaster. There's a lot to take in, and I'm coming into this game after like a 15-year break with a lot of knowledge from before. If you're new, there's 2 ways to travel. You can either do gate to gate, which is recommended, massively recommended, until we get to nullsec, which we'll go over later, or you can press this autopilot button down here. And that will get you to your destination, but it will expose you because it doesn't warp you to 0 meters on the Stargate. It warps you to, I think, 15 kilometers, and then you have to slow boat to each, like that last 15 kilometers. So doing that in low sec and null sec is a guaranteed death sentence eventually, and it won't take long. Doing it in high sec will probably also get you killed too, but if you're in something as cheap as this and you want to go make a cup of tea like I just did, you're probably going to be okay. But the best way to travel is gate to gate, as I said. So for that, you simply have, it'll auto highlight the next system, the next gate in the route here in yellow. You just click that and then press jump, or D. D for Delta. You can just hold that and then left click. And what's highlighted in yellow here is this system here. This is the next system en route. So the one after that will be Jark, one after that will be Sasta. You just warp gate to gate. And then there's a neat little trick too. It'll auto-select, once you do it once, it's going to auto-select the next gate in your route, also known as the out gate, automatically. In nullsec, well, in most fleets they'll call it out gate. You'll hear things like align out gate, warp out gate, jump out gate. That just means the next system en route. So we're going to jump through. I haven't pressed anything, that's just because we did a jump warp. Okay, that's automatically highlighted. Don't have to press anything, just jump. So travelling like that is the most efficient way. It warps you to 0 meters. That music getting louder. Warps you to 0 meters on the gate, so you jump through immediately and you're exposed as little as possible. Just wanted to let you know, in case, like I said, you're brand new to this. Just while we're in warp here, see how I've got all these modules down here? I like to have only activatable modules down here, so active mods. If I try and click these nano fiber internal structures, these just lighten up my ship, basically. Make it more agile. You can't activate them, so click these 3 white lines in the bottom right of the cap circle and untick display passive modules. I also want a display readout, which is going to show me as a percentage my HP down here. We're not going to be taking any damage, because if we do, we'll just immediately die, but it's just good to have. Also then enable display sensor overlay, which is going to show us a rotating display overlay, which is going to point us in the general direction, only on a horizontal plane, so not up or down, only left and right. The direction of different things, which if you hover over that bar, you'll see green is anomalies, yellow is landmarks, red is signatures, and so on. That can just be handy to have. I use it a little bit when I'm out looking for targets in PvP mostly, but to me it just feels empty not having that on there, so I turn that on too. Anyway, 2 more jumps to go. Okay, just arrived in Desisolin here. What I'm going to do is look over on the overview and you'll see a Republic rookie shipcaster. I'm going to warp over to that, and that's going to allow us to leave Exordium and head into the actual New Eden in proper high-tech. There it is. So just like a, looks a bit different, but just like a regular Stargate that you'd use when traveling between systems. Just going to go ahead and activate that, and it's going to warn me that I'm leaving Exordium, which we definitely want to do. Apparently you get an achievement for that too. Alright, we're in Ammo, finally a place I recognise, and honestly, beautiful, beautiful space. The Red of Minmatar. I'm not really allowed to say that because I'm in CVA, so we have to be Amar. So Amar Victor! But between you and me, Minmatar's awesome. Anyway, let's look at the map here. So this is where we are. You can see this little "you are here" symbol in ammo. It's put us quite a way away from where we want to go, but it should still be fine. But like I said, we want to find a quiet way in. So for that, what we need to do is let's put the map in floating mode, so it's not got loads of stuff in the way. Drag it out so you guys can see it. There you go. I'm going to go down here to statistics. You've got a bunch of buttons down here. Definitely play around with them. By default, it's showing you Empire space by the looks of it, who controls which area, at least NPC. I'm going to go to statistics, and let's do jumps. Let's do ships destroyed last hour. And this is going to show us all the ships destroyed in the last hour. You can see this here in Amamaki, a pretty notorious system. 33 ships destroyed in the last hour. That's insane. But over here in Great Wildlands, we have very little activity. This is all nullsec. You can hover over them and see the purple numbers. That's null. 1 ship was destroyed here in the last hour. But what we're looking for is a safe entry point. So if it doesn't matter where we arrive. We also want the most difficult part of this is getting in and out safely, and I'm going to show you how to get out safely. It's getting in that we need to do cleverly. So what system would this be? Set destination here, because this is, if you look on the map here, you got a line. You can see where all these locations go to. So if I just set a destination to here, that's gonna basically show us where that jumps to. If I set one to here, you can, well, what I'm trying to say is you can see, go away, you can see this line here shows you where the gate jumps to. All of this region, Derelict, is quite quiet. If we set a route to Karbi here and see the high-sec way in, so this is the last high-sec system going into here. There's been no kills in the last hour. Let's just double check. This looks like a pretty safe way in. Average pilots in space. We've got 1 pilot in space. This is in the last half an hour, I believe. Yeah. No one over here. So this is looking like a pretty safe bet based on the map. So what we're going to do is go ahead and set a destination to the first nullsec system here from the lowsec gate. What you could do, if you really want to simplify this, is just go, let's just go anywhere on the map, outer ring, set destination, and just try your luck and go that way. You don't have to go through all this stuff, but I want to get in safely and show you how you can get in safely too. Depending on what time of day you do it, you might stand better chances than others, but I'm going to show you how you can also get out safely, avoiding warp disruption bubbles without getting too technical, because, you know, again, this video is aimed mostly at new players, so I just want to show you how to make money and not how to become a PvP god. So here's the route. I'm going to go up here to route and set destination by shorter. That shortened it a little bit, but is that a good idea? 14 jumps or 18 jumps. We have a lot more low sec. doing it the shorter way. So we'll go the longer way. So I'm going to do this 18 jumps, and then I'm going to stop because there are some areas which are a bit closer, but they're also a bit busier. Great Wildlands, it seems quite quiet at the moment, so it's worth the trip. And then I can set up base somewhere around there if I was going to be doing this more often. What I'm going to do is I'm going to travel to Nimambal, which is the last high sec jump in the route before we get to 0.3 space, which is low sec, and then 2 of those before we hit null sec. And what these mean is basically reduce security from Concord, low sec for example. In high sec, if you get attacked, Concord will come and ECM jam, stop them targeting and stuff like that. Whoever's attacking you, you might still die, but it's guaranteed that the person who attacked you will also die as a deterrent. In low sec, not so much. They'll lose quite a bit of security standing. Lose enough of that, they'll eventually get shot at by NPCs every time they enter high sec space, unless they repair it through various means. But defense-wise, you only have station gates and gun gates, which do okay damage. They'll take out frigates and destroyers easily, but anything above sort of cruiser size can tank them, especially with logistics. So there are low-sec gate camps. And then null-sec is completely lawless. Anything goes, and in null-sec space you can also deploy bubbles, which means you don't need to warp scramble someone, you don't need to target them and actually stop them warping away. You just press a button, huge bubble appears, and then you're kind of screwed in it. There are ways around that, but again, that's well out of the scope of this video. So I'm going to travel to the last high-sec jump, and then we'll start navigating low and null-sec space. So wherever you are, you don't have to go to Great Wildlands, just wherever you are following this video. Go to the last high-sec jump before you get to low-sec, and I'll see you there. So drag my modules, I like having them like this. Oh, I'm being warned about Edencom forces, and unless you've gone around destroying Edencom ships, this is just a mechanic in the game where some systems are kind of dominated by Edencom, some Triglavian, or is part of the old Triglavian event. Just press OK. If you need to avoid those systems, you will know about it, because you will have been killing Edencom stuff. So I normally just suppress that message and carry on the way. The achievement that you get given for leaving Exordium is Empire Graduate, it seems. Which seems a little bit strange, given that I'm Minmatar. But you can press your portrait up here on the top left and go to decorations, I think it is. There we go, acquired Empire Graduate, and you can equip it, as well as all of these that you can unlock later on. And that'll display it if we go right click on ourselves down here, show info. There you go, Empire Graduate. And this is your achievement score of 15. The more achievements you do, the higher that number will be. But that's how you display a title in the new title system. Alright, I've just arrived in the final high-sec system before we hit low-sec, Nimambal. So I'm just going to warp off to somewhere, it doesn't really matter, everywhere's safe-ish. Just warp off to a random planet, right-clicked in space, planet, just to get myself off the Stargate, really, so we don't see loads of traffic. So there's a couple of things I want to do. I want to first of all check the map one more time. Let's check what are we on at the moment. Average pilots in space, so we are here. 0 in that system, 1 in that system, 0 in the null-sec side. Once we get into here, we're going to set a random waypoint route around Great Wildlands. So the whole activity in general seems, with exception to this system here, 6EG7-R, seems very, very quiet at the moment, which is nice. Hopefully that means we won't get much competition either, especially not down here. Looks nice and quiet, so that's where I'm going to aim for, I think. Or this looks like a nice little back and forth route here too. But before we get ahead of ourselves, I'm going to say that's clear. We're going to be using the directional scanner, and I want to get that. You see how much junk there is on this by default? I want to get rid of all this junk. So I'm going to press the filter thing up here, the drop down. I'm going to scroll down in the directional scanner to target capsuleer all, no drones. And look at that. Now it only shows me player ships, and if I see a player ship, I'm going to assume it's a threat and avoid it. Next thing I want to do is local chat needs to be visible at all times, and by default it's grouped together with Corp and Rookie Help, and that's not all that great, because sometimes you want to talk in Corp or some other chat and see local too. So once again, left click drag the notification drop down, Move that over there. You can actually disable that entirely in gameplay, I think. User interface. Notifications enabled. Just go ahead and get rid of that. There you go, that thing has gone. I don't like it. Left click drag the local tab out of that window into its own window. I'm just going to go ahead and minimize Corp and Rookie Help Chat because I don't need them right now. Now you're welcome to talk in local. I don't recommend it. Nothing good ever comes of talking in local, really. Well, actually that's not true. Some people can be really nice. But let's just leave that like that, just for the sake of presuming you might want to talk in there. Otherwise what you can do is just minimize it like this, so you only see people in local with you. And what that means is people in the system with me. So if I do a D scan now, someone's probe scanning. Someone of these people is probably in an Omen Navy issue, someone's in a Heron, which is the Kalari scanning ship, probably the cause of these Sisters Core scanner probes, and someone's hauling stuff in an Epithal, and you can right-click stuff in there and see the ship info. But you can't see who is flying it, except unless they don't rename their ship. So Jordan Peterson's 1984's something. Well, this guy's called Jordan Peterson 1984's, so that'll be 1984's Heron. So that's that guy. And you can also, lastly, in the local chat window here, press the 3 dots in the top right corner, go to member list and do show compact member list and have it like that. And then you can see hundreds of people. Well, not quite, but a lot of people anyway, at a glance. That's what I'm going to have mine like, because that's how I normally have it. But again, just have it dragged out so you can talk in there if you want to. You might run into friendly explorers, or you might get trolled and baited into doing something stupid. So I just like to have it like that. There we go. Perfect. So now we have directional awareness, which I'll cover in more detail later. We have system-wide awareness. We have visibility on the sites we're going to be scanning down. We have a way to navigate around. We have a route and we have a plan. One more check. You can't be too safe. Everything looks absolutely fine. Average pilots in space last 30 minutes. That's still 1. Not too worried about the low sec side. It's more the null sec side. Alright, let's go. Let's not jump to this one. I want eyes on this gate first. So we're going to jump from high sec, 0.6. High sec ends at 0.5. We're going to be going straight to 0.3 in this case. So wherever you are, even if you're not going into Great Wildlands, the pattern here will be the same. Check the map. Prepare yourself. Situational awareness, system-wide awareness. Make sure you have everything you need. And just in case, to avoid disappointment, prepare not to make it back alive, but plan to, if that makes sense. Alright, it's going to warn you that this is a 0.3 system, and I don't want that to warn me, because sometimes you might need to be in a rush, and you don't want to see this, so I'm going to suppress that and press OK. And let's head into where Eve truly begins. So one person in the system, along with myself. We're just going to warp. This is low sec, so we can warp fairly safely, gate to gate. There are reasons why you wouldn't do that, but let's just keep it simple for now. One of the reasons would be there might be a smart bombing battleship in the route here. If this was faction warfare or a heavily trafficked system, you might just suddenly get popped mid-warp, because there's a battleship there popping smart bombs. But with only one guy in system, it's not very likely. Not impossible, but not very likely. So I'll just take a risk. The first thing we're going to do, once we get into nullsec, is we're going to set up an exit strategy. So when we've got all our valuable loot, fingers crossed, we want a way to get out, otherwise it's all for nothing. So we're going to set up a safe on the gate straight away. Now, you don't have to do this if you don't want to, but you're doing this to make money, and I want to teach you everything I know about how, to do things. So I'm going to show you how to do it. It involves using the micro warp drive and doing a little bit of traveling. Just to get a spot set up that we can actually use to check that the gate is safe, so that we don't just get popped after all our hard work on the way out. And to me, that's worth doing. So we are now arriving on the 7Q-8Z2 gate. All nullsec gates, more or less, start using numbers and letters combinations to name themselves. Think of it like uncharted space. And we're going to go ahead and jump in, check local, and then do a 360-degree max range directional scan. Directional scan is going to show us who's around. So here we go. So the gate is clear, no one on the overview. It does a scan automatically on whatever settings you have, there's no one there. And everything is looking good. So what we're going to do is immediately Let's have a look at the system layout here. Doesn't really matter. There we go. We're going to just head, double left click in space, activate the micro warp drive, and just start heading away from where all the celestials are in space. So I looked around and I saw the sun and a whole bunch of stuff here. If I look over here, there's nothing. It's all on a horizontal plane, more or less. So I'm going to basically trying to align myself out. As an example, if I warp to this gate from this planet, I'm going to end up roundabout where I am right now. And that means if someone is camping this gate when we want to get out, they might set up a bubble over there, or they might set up a drag bubble over there, and that's going to whip us past or before they pull us out of warp, like outside, maybe 50 kilometers away from the Stargate. And then we're going to be toast. We're going to be stuck in a bubble, and we're going to be miles away from the Stargate. That's going to get us killed unless we get very, very lucky and it's not actively camped. So what this is doing, with the micro warp drive on, already nearly 100 kilometers away at the gate, we're just going to head away from everything to about minimum warp distance is 150 kilometers, but we're going to probably do about 500 kilometers. And that means that we're going to be able to warp to that, no matter if this gate is bubbled or not. And we're going to make a bookmark there and call it like exit perch or something like that, so we can warp to that and then check the gate. Because if you look, the max D-scan range to see who's around, just do another scan, there's no one. The max range is 14.4 AU, astronomical units. So if we look at the overview here, the closest object, other than the gate we just came through, is 24.7 AU. And that's the problem, is when you're leaving nullsec to lowsec or highsec, oftentimes, like more often than not, the exit gate is deliberately put well out of D-scan range. So if you just warp there blind, you might die, because people choose those systems because they know you can't D-scan it from another Stargate like this one over here, BYC. It's 31 AU away. You can't D-scan this. So this setting up a perch allows us to actually scan the gate down, or visibly see it in this case. I'm going to do both, and just check that it's actually safe. So I'm going to go to about 500 kilometers here, and then I'm going to press Control B for Bravo, Control B, and then I'm going to make a bookmark. You can actually do that first stage now. So I'm going to do, I don't know, exit perch 500 kilometers or something like that. Doesn't matter what you call it. I'm going to have it to never expire. Although showing this to the world, that's probably not a great idea, but that's what I'm going to do anyway. I'll just make a new one. But 400 kilometers now. And then as I'm warping off, I'm also going to make a second bookmark, which will be off-grid. Because here, if we warp in here to 500, we'll visibly be able to see and be susceptible to anyone who is on the gate. So if we warp in and then go AFK, they'll see us, we'll be on grid with them, and they can just kill us. So a second bookmark as we warp off to wherever we're going to go will allow us to warp to a safe spot off-grid where we can scan the gate, and then if there's something there, we can warp to this perch as a backup and see what's going on. But there we go, 500 kilometers. Save that. Okay, good. We don't have a cloak, so we have to be a little bit smart here. Just do another D-scan, pressing V for Victor to do a D-scan. Max range, 360-degree angle. That's all we're really going to be using for this. So we're in nullsec, and I still like how quiet this area is down here. So let's just set a route. We're just going to start looking for sites now. So let's go set destination there, because I want to go that way. And then I want to set a waypoint here. Right-click that system. So we're going to go zoop. And then I want to try and get into this little nook and cranny area here. So add waypoint. Let's go add waypoint there. Go down there. And then we'll head there. Let's see how we're getting on there. We might have either found loads of stuff and have to come back and dump the loot before we get too much, or maybe it's rubbish. And we'll head down here, or maybe, if it's really bad, up there and just see how that's looking. But that means the first gate is well out of our D-scan range. There is someone in local, has been here the whole time, so we don't want to take any stupid chances. So what we're going to do is we're going to warp to, instead of the Stargate itself, I'm going to pick the planet. I'm going to right-click the planet. So all I've done is I've just looked and press C for Charlie and look at anything in space. So I'm just looking at the out gate here, and I've just hovered over it, and it brings up this list, and you can see everything in this cluster of stuff here, everything that's over there. So the planet, there's no one really going to be at the planet. You can even do the customs office if you want to. I'm going to right click that and warp to it at 70. And that way I'll be able to scan the out gate, the destination, and make sure it's safe. So warp to that at 70. I'm going to press Control B. I'm going to do perch, because I can't think of what else to call it. I'm going to wait until about there. Doesn't matter, as long as it's within 14.4 AU of the exit gate. I made another bookmark. And I do think I want to rename that. But I don't know, D-scan exit gate. Let's go with that for now, because my brain seems to have failed me for decent names. So there we go, we're at the planet, now 96,000 kilometers away from the Stargate. Hold C for Charlie, click the Stargate. Then what I'm going to do, I can just do a 360 scan if I want to, or I can reduce the angle to 5 and just scan that. So if I want to scan the sun with a 15 degree angle, do like that, hold C, look back at the Stargate, press V or scan, and there you go, and then back up to 360. So this gate's completely clear, there's no bubbles, there's nothing really going on. So we're just going to warp and jump out. So nice and quiet, we're now safely in nullsec, and once you get past the initial, sort of like the tidal area of nullsec, if you like, where the tide meets the shore, it's a lot safer. So now it's going to be more unusual to see someone. This guy just jumped in here. How is that possible? Oh, he's in a Loki, look at that. Okay, so this is quite exciting. So he was watching the outgate, cloaked up. So what I'm going to try and do now is just try and get away from him. See if we can get away in time. And we can. He didn't get us, so that's, you got to be prepared. That's quite uncommon for that to happen, but you got to be prepared. That's why I always warp to things at unknown ranges too, instead of just 0. So let's try and bail out now. It's just him in system. We know he's on the EO2 gate, so I'm just going to go straight beeline it for the exit gate here, and let's try and shake this guy off, because he's clearly just waiting for kills in a ship that's way more powerful than we are. So there's no point. We have no guns, we have no drones, we just need to stay alive. So let's go a couple of jumps into the route here, shake him off. And if he comes back, then we know what he's in, and we know what his intentions are. If you want to, you can right-click him, add contact, set him as red, but honestly in nullsec, anyone you see is pretty much going to be out to kill you, so. Another achievement. God. So there is someone in the system. Do a max range 360D range scan. I want to find a system to start this in where there's nobody. So same thing again here. Just going to highlight the cluster of the outgate because it's way out of D-scan range. Warp to 70 at the planet. Can warp to 20, 30, anything really. 100. 100 and 0 are the most common. So try and just vary it, you know, in between there. Zora Thunder Pussy is in here somewhere, might be doing something. And because this is NPC nullsec, nobody owns this space. This is all just NPC space, so this is where you get a lot of sort of solo-ish players. It's not sovereignty controlled, so the big alliances aren't here to keep things under control. This gate looks fine. There's also no signatures in the system, so we're not losing anything by jumping out of here. So let's just keep on moving. Check the map. And we're probably just start quieting down a little bit from the next system over. Fingers crossed. If you see rats on a gate, don't worry about it. Just don't dawdle, because they will attack you, but they're not super overpowered. Alright, this system is just us. There's no cosmic signatures in this system either, but we can then, because there's no one else here, just take the chance and warp gate to gate. It's a good habit to not warp gate to gate, warp to something else first, scan the gate, and then proceed. But when there's no one else in system, if you just want to make good speed, well, it's a risk, but you can take it. It's a low risk. So all I'm doing, continuing along the route that we made at the moment. So again, if you're not in Greater Wildlands and you're following along with this, just do the same. The pattern is the same no matter where you are. There we have a signature. Perfect. So, because I don't have a cloak, I can't just vamoose in a safe spot. Or on a planet. Normally, if I'm cloaking, I'll warp to a planet at X distance, 20, 30 kilometers or whatever, and just cloak up there and scan what's around. But because we don't have a cloak, because we're an absolute Newbro, I'm going to pick a planet. I'm going to just pick one randomly. Let's do that one. Warp to it at 70. I'm going to deploy my probes, which you can either do now or later, doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to press Control B for Baker, and write safe 1 and submit. In the middle of warp. And what that's just done, can you see those on the map? Solar system map. What that's just done is it's made a safe spot in the middle of space. For some reason I can't see the... Oh yeah, there I can. There's the bookmark. So there's nothing here. There's no celestials. The orbit of the celestials is the white lines. This is just in the middle. So the only way to find me, if I go back, I'm at the planet now, right click in space, locations, safe 1, warp 2. The only way someone can find me here is using combat scanner probes. And combat scanner probes appear on the directional scanner, so I'd need to see people in local, first and foremost. And then, once I see people in local, I'll need to scan. And if I see combat scanner probes, then I know they're out looking for someone in a safe spot. So you've got a multi-layer of protection there from the get-go. But there's no one in system. Just landing at the safe spot now. I'm going to go ahead and align to the sun. Just in case, just have it drifting. If you have a cloak, this is when you would cloak up. But with that done, we don't have a cloak. We're dirt cheap, so we don't have much to lose. I'm going to open the solar system map, and this is going to be just like it was when we did the career missions. So open the solar system map, 4 AU range, drag the bubbles, and here, closest celestial, probably this one. Drag the camera around, make sure it's centered, and press B. Or scan, sorry, analyze. While that's doing that, you can close the solar system map. I want local to be displayed over that full screen view. So 3 white dots at the top right of the chat window enable always above full screen views. Head back into the solar system map, and now we can see what's going on in local. So we've got the dot here at 13.3% signature strength, which is great. So just realign the bubbles. Left clicking in space to switch between horizontal and vertical view, and then I'm going to go ahead and reduce the size of the bubbles. Now, I actually forgot to do this before. I want hotkeys for that, and there aren't any by default. So you can either adjust the size of the bubbles with this slider here, but I find that finicky. I want to hit escape, go to shortcuts, any of them, and just write in probe. Here you have decrease probe scan range, which I like as Z, which is otherwise useless, just for spotting an enemy, which is never used, and X. So Z will be to decrease the size, and X will be to increase the size, and then refresh the probe scan with B. So back into the solar system map. With that done, press Z, and no, there you go. I'd already gone down to 2 AU. So center the bubbles, make sure they're all over there like that, and press B. And this is basically what we're going to be doing, rinse and repeat. And some of these sites with basic skills that we have and no rangefinder array because we're not Omega account, some of them might just be too hard for us to get. But most of them won't be. So this is a wormhole. We've just found a wormhole. I would continue scanning that to 100% if I wanted a wormhole, but I'm sticking to nullsec because I prefer nullsec scanning. So I'm just going to close that down, suck my probes back in with recover active probes, and no one in local, so I can just warp to the outgate and we'll carry on looking. I'm going to keep doing this until we find a relic or a data site. And there's quite a few around, so it shouldn't take too long. Next system over has 3 signatures, that's promising. No one in local, even better. So right click in space, warp to a planet. You can add planets to your overview, but that's again out of the scope of this video. Or I suppose it's not. Right click in space, go over a planet or any object, and Actually, no, that doesn't actually appear there. Forget that. But if you want to add them, I've done a video about overviews. I won't get into that here. Warp to a planet, 70 in my case. Control B to make a bookmark ready. It doesn't save the bookmark until you press submit, so call that safe 1 because it's handy to have multiple safes. Save it mid-warp. And in this case, I actually forgot to deploy my probes, otherwise I could just jump into the solar system view whilst in warp and start probe scanning now. But I need to walk back to the safe spot, so let's drop the probes here. There we go. Safe 1, warp 2. You see how that auto reloads now when you have a spare set of probes in the hold? Open the solar system map while still in warp, reset it back to 4AU, and head to... Let's do this one, because it seems to have at least one site, or 2 sites maybe, that this might pick up on. And now that we're in the solar system map, we can see everything without being able to see everything in 3D space. We can still see what's going on. So let's go ahead and align to... we can align to the outgate. Actually, no, let's align to the sun, because you never know what's going to happen. So there we go. We got one site there to 20.1%. So that's quite a weak site. So just reduce the size of the bubbles again with Z or that slider on the probe scanner window. Press B and just keep doing that until we see what it is at about 50%. I think it's 50% where it shows you a bit more info. Combat site. So we're not interested in combat sites. They're handy to have, but we're going to ignore that. Right click and ignore. Pop the probes back to 4AU and let's see if we can find anything at this planet here, which might be where this is. It's an odd system, this. There are quite a few. It's not very common you'll see a system that is not on a horizontal plane. You see this one has some funky orbits going on. Yeah, that one was within range of that planet we just scanned. Perfect. So reduce size again. Those scanner probes are mine. Which you can, if you want to, I think, disable somehow. You might have to make a special overview tab for that. But I don't mind seeing them. It's very handy. This one is really difficult, already down to 1 AU size, and we've done 3.6%. It doesn't mean it's not possible, but it does mean it's going to be tricky. Now there's better probes, you can get better skills, you can get better ships. And if you're Omega, you can use scan range finding arrays to increase your probe strength. All of that stuff is highly, highly recommended. There's a whole scanning section of the skill tree here. The yellow dots mean we're not Omega on this account. But all of those things will help. So I reckon this is going to be too hard because we're already down to the last notch now and we've only got it to 21.2%, but we should be able to get it far enough to actually see what it is. And had this been closer, there is a trick you can do. If you just can't get it any more than like 85, 90%, there is a trick you can do, which I'm hoping to run into, but I'll try and explain it anyway. Oh, it's a combat site. Perfect. Ignore result. In that case, I don't feel bad because we haven't lost anything that was actually useful. Finally, back to 4AU. Let's just pick a planet that looks like it might be the one that this is anchored to within 4AU range. Should be getting the gist of it by now, I hope. Ah, good. So this can happen sometimes. And thank you to everyone who told me this was the only thing I wasn't really sure exactly what to do in this case. The signature is split. Some bubbles have detected it, some haven't, and it's created this situation where it's not quite sure where it is. It's like an echo of itself. It's always the circle that's furthest away. So let's go up here. So whichever is furthest away from your sort of center of your probes, that should be where you focus your scan on. So reduced it to 2AU, focused it on this one which looked further away than this one. There we go, and that's a wormhole. So not having much luck at the moment, ignore that. Scoop the probes back in. Local, check, it's clear. Let's warp out. So I'm going to keep on doing this until we find a site that's relevant to us. Sometimes you'll get really lucky and find loads straight away, and sometimes it might be a bit like this, a bit of a slow start. Especially if someone has been through here fairly recently, they will have taken all the sites and they take a good few minutes to come back. But they do spawn in quite often. But you can actually be right behind someone sometimes and not realize it and wonder why you're not finding any sites. So I'll show you this one more time. Warp to a planet at whatever range. Control B, safe one. Make a safe spot. There we go. And while we're in warp to the planet, let's start scanning down and then remember when we land to warp back to the safe spot, otherwise we might get killed. There we go, we've just arrived. Back to the safe spot and back into the solar system view. You can see what your ship is doing down here, even in the map. Warp drive active and whatnot. Okay, so I explored all down here and it was a really disappointing area. Didn't really find anything at all. Mostly just combat sites. So I decided to give up down there. If you're not having any luck in an area, there's no point dwelling. It might just be a bad area for spawns. Loads of combat sites down there, but that's not what we're looking for. So instead, I've set a new route, and I've come up here. So sometimes you get really lucky straight away. Sometimes you have to search for a bit. And once you learn an area, you know where to avoid. I haven't really done exploration in Great Wildlands for many, many years. So just learning as I go, but I've learned that down here, unless it was just a one-off thing, is no good. Which might explain why it was so quiet, but I'm going to try up here and just keep on searching. So maybe where you are is a bit better. I've just done a potentially stupid thing here. I've warped gate to gate because it's been so quiet, and as I've gone into warp, a whole bunch of people have appeared in local, and that's why you don't warp gate to gate. Or if you do, you understand the risks. But luckily they're not here. I don't know where they are, and I don't want to find out. Let's just hop out of here and hope they don't know where I am either. Been a bit of a trek. I've been in a good few systems and haven't found that much, so it does strongly depend on when you're doing this. I'm doing this on a weekend, right after downtime and just before, so not the best time to be doing it because there's a lot of competition, but it is the best time for hunting explorers. So I got that scan down to 0. Go ahead and scoop the probes. And we can finally take a look at what a proper relic site looks like in Eve. And also, relic sites generally, there's a few exceptions, like ghost sites and stuff on the data side, but relic sites tend to have a relatively good chance of having some good ISK in them. So what I'm going to do is just start approaching the first can by double-clicking and turn my micro warp drive on. Now, I am cap stable with my 2 analyzers off, so I can just leave my micro warp drive running. But I want to test the bounce range here to make sure that works. So I'm just ramming the structure by approaching it. And that sent me down to no more than 4 kilometers. The range for the analyzers is 5 kilometers, so that's perfect. We can just ram at full speed and not have to worry about carefully approaching to stop bouncing out of range. So with that locked up, let's go ahead and activate the relic analyzer. And this, a little bit more advanced than the ones we saw in the tutorial, but the theory is the same. So I'm going to press a node. So you see number 1 has appeared there. That means how many nodes I am away from something potentially good. Either a booster module, which will appear down here, or a unknown thing that you can click and might be a booster module or might be an antivirus. And we, as the role of a virus, ideally don't want to run into antivirus. So that was one, that means it's here. And it's a shield, so that allows us to attack twice without taking any damage. So remember, this is our coherence, this is our HP, which is 60, and this is our damage, which is 25. So we deal 25 damage a hit to viruses and the core, and we can sustain 60 damage in return. So every time we attack an antivirus, it damages us and we damage it. So we need to make sure we have enough coherence to survive attacking something and enough virus strength to be able to kill it before our coherence runs out. Now, what I want to show you is a thing this right here is like the golden nugget of this little mini game when you're hacking. So this thing here, don't ask me what shape it is, I don't know, but it's the whole complete block, let's call it that. So we got one node in the center, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, around 6 nodes around the edge. And these are so good because you're never going to run into anything bad in the middle of one of these complete blocks, unless the only exception is if you run into something bad in the middle, the core is guaranteed to be in any of these 6 nodes around the outside. So running into something bad in the middle is mostly a good thing because that means you found the core as well, provided you can kill the antivirus and then find the core without hitting another antivirus. So when you get a chain of these together, like over here would be 2, one there and then one there. Try and chain the center of these complete shapes, blocks, as much as you can. When you get into this kind of area, let's see, let's go this way. When you get into this here, there's no complete shape. You see what I mean? This is a triangle. This is where things get a bit dicey because you just go in completely blind. So go for these in the center node and go center to center as far as you can to traverse this little mini game as best you can, as easily as possible. So here's another one here. So there's a complete square there, or complete block, I should say. Now, normally the core, not always, but normally it's sort of on the other side of the map. So if we start down here, it might be over here or over here, but it could also be up here, but it's very rarely in this area. So I saw a 1 here somewhere. So 1, 2. I thought I did. Oh, do I want to waste that? No, I don't. Let's keep going this way and remember that there might be something here. I'm pretty sure that it said 1, so there's something potentially positive there. So now we're in a complete shape. Now we're in a complete shape. Both of those say 1, which means either that one or that one is something potentially positive. That says 2, so it's... Oh, okay, there might be 2 then. So either here, there you go. So that thing there, the kernel rot, basically halves the HP of an antivirus or the core. So this one must be the... Oh, okay, this might be the core, guarded by 2 antiviruses, and it was 1 away from something positive, so I'm going to get rid of that. There you go, there's the core. So the core has, and I knew that because there was 2 antiviruses guarding 1 thing, and I find that often case where there's 2 antiviruses and then something positive just sort of the next node over, it's often the core. So the core has 10 strength and 70 coherence, a HP. So I need to hit that with 25 attack damage from my virus. I need to hit it 3 times, and that's going to do 30 damage to me, and I have 40 HP left, so I can just go ahead and attack that. And then we have 2.5 mil. Not terrible, but we can do better. Sometimes you can get 60 million in some of these cans. Gonna leave that there. So, next can over. Let's try and do this one a bit quicker. Keeping an eye on local the whole time, but we're okay at the moment. That's unlucky, because now we have nowhere else to go. We have to chew through that, and we just don't have the skills to be able to do that. So let's try again. Let's go this way, maybe. Just try and open up as many lanes as possible. So you see now here we're going to get a chain-ish of these complete shapes. So there we got 3. And there's 1 as well. So we have a damage over time here. It does give you a description of what each thing does, but this little symbol here gives you 20 damage over 3 turns when applied to a node. Or, sorry, antivirus. Here we have a chain again of complete shapes. So, let's see. Could be over there. I reckon there's something here because they have so much defense. So let's apply that dot to that thing. You have to click around and empty other nodes for it to be like a turn. Okay, so it could either be here or here. So I like to try and avoid popping these mystery things that class as good things, but they might not always be good. It might be an antivirus. It might boost the strength of other existing antiviruses. We have something there. I wonder what else we have around the map. Oh, they're bad. Kill these straight away. They're the ones that boost the strength. You see that? That's up to 150 HP now. So that's really bad. If the core is over there, we might not be able to kill that now. Oh, but it's here, and it's a red core, which is a good sign. So that does has 90 HP. So that's going to be 25, 50, 75, 100. So we have to hit it 4 times, and that's going to do 40 damage to us. And we're not going to survive that because we only have 34 coherence. So let's pop these two positive things. Even if now at this point we get a antivirus which boosts the strength of everything, it doesn't affect the core. So as long as we don't pop this, because this might be an antivirus and that'll block off all surrounding all surrounding nodes within 1 node range. So that would block the core. So we're not going to pop that, but everything else we can now. Oh, that's really bad. That one's going to mess us up. This square reduces my attack strength to 10 from 25. So that's actually horrible. I could apply this, halve the HP of the core, but I still have to hit it 5 times, and we still don't have enough HP for that. God, there's a lot of antiviruses in this one. And I think that's all she wrote. Yeah, there we go, block the core. So that's just how it goes sometimes. That's where skills come in. Just do not have the skills to do some of these, and we got unlucky. So you need luck when you don't have skills. But again, if you like this, definitely put skill points into your scanning skills, because it makes everything easier. You can also increase the ship, get like a metamorphosis, for example. That'll give you increased virus strength. Tech 2 scanning ships, for example, give you better virus strength. So there's a lot you can do. But as a brand new player, you're going to be blowing up some cans, unfortunately. So there could have been something really valuable in there, but don't dwell on it because there's nothing you can do. But here we have another red core. That one has 1.1 mil in it. Not too shabby. I mean, given that the ship was free, more or less. I've set up shortcuts for Shift G to unlock all locked targets. I just find that quite useful. Let's see. Come on, give us something good. We've got 2 cans left. Just because it's an easier minigame doesn't necessarily mean the loot's going to be worse. It's a rough indicator, but it just doesn't always seem to go that way. Oh, I was convinced that it was going to be around there because of all the antiviruses. Oof. Oh, that's an interesting little conundrum. Could be here, or it could be here. A couple of repair things. Ah. Oh, that's really unlucky. I don't think we're going to have enough. Well, there's the core. So we're going to need more HP than I can realistically find, I think. Yeah, I can't do that. So that's attempt number 1. Shield. Another shield. Useful. Stick to these middle nodes. And there we have the core. So sometimes you get really lucky, sometimes you get really unlucky. 492,000 disc. Sometimes you get so unlucky and just hit every antivirus in the area. It's almost impressive. So in a situation like this, I just try and, oh my god, click a node and just see roughly how far away everything is. So like here, for example, 4 away from the potentially the core, so it's not going to be here, not going to be here, it's going to be up here. So I'm just going to try and charge through that, and then I've hit another antivirus. So that's that can gone. So we got 4.5 mil from that. Not overall all that impressive. And that was that site done. So now we just head on to the next system, and fingers crossed we get a bit luckier. Rogue drone ship remains. Don't think I've actually seen this site before. It's very red. Actually, don't think I've ever ran into this site before. It'll be interesting to see what's going on. Watch me die immediately. Let's go into a site blind. Probably not the smartest thing. But heck, I'm here to have fun. That's why I'm listening to Scooter while doing this. The core straight away. Oh, 11.5 mil. I'm getting good feelings about this one. 12.6. This is more like it. This is what relic scanning's all about. 70.9 mil in a ship that costs less than my shirt. And I got my shirt for free. These die in 3 hits from one of these secondary vectors. So just apply it and then move around somewhere else. I got another one there. And there we go. 6.5. 2 more cans to go. Oh, are you kidding me? I hate it when that happens. Oh, we're not going to get it. There's nothing I can do about it. Damn. Okay, well, still, decent profit from the site, but I do wonder now what we lost in that. This is why better skills are very important. On that note, because we've been doing it for a while now, you would have a good idea as to whether or not you think it's any fun. And if you do, definitely put some skills in here, or at least wait until your skills are done. So I've injected the 1 million free skill points, and I'm going to put some of those to max out my alpha scanning skills here. So let's just apply that. We've got Minmatar Frigate to level 3, but let's do level 4, because that always also helps. There we go. So now I'm considerably better at scanning. So now I'm going to scan faster, and going to have higher virus coherence and virus strength. I've honestly never seen, I haven't seen a single data site since I've been out here. That's really, really unusual. Just relic site after relic site after relic site. I'm not complaining because relic sites, like I said, typically on average worth more than the average data site, but it's weird that there's no data sites. But I am beginning to wonder if it's because, is this rogue drone space? It must be, because these are rogue drone remains. In which case data sites don't spawn in rogue drone systems, I don't think. So that could be why. Otherwise, if there was data sites, there should be a lot more sites in general, because there's more data sites than there are relic sites around. But both types of sites are the same, relic and data. You play them both the same, so it's no harm in just doing the relic sites that I find. Oh, you see, this one's popped an antivirus in the center of a otherwise complete shape. So there we go. There we have the core. Let's see. It's going to take 3 hits, and we have enough. That's 4.8 mil. That's another one of those rogue drone sites too, so hopefully we won't blow up any containers this time with our better skills. Yeah, they got 80 coherence now and 25 strength. I haven't had any problem with traffic, but if you do, you don't have to leave the site and panic. Just keep descanning. There's 10 mil there. Just because there's someone in local doesn't mean they're looking for you. Doesn't mean they're not either. 7.7. So we're now firmly over 100 mil estimated. Oh, yes, really handy. Let's get rid of 60. And then we should be able to, there we go. 1.6. Alright, that site wasn't as good as the other one that we found. 2 relic sites in the same system here. A lot of these rogue drone ship remains out here. This is... Okay, we have 112 mil and 2 of these sites to do, and then 1 more jump. Let's see how far we can get just on a couple of these systems, and then start heading back and dump the loot and try and do it without dying. Okay, done the whole route. And now I want to try and, up to 189 mil, I want to try and get that out alive. So, what I'm going to do is set a route back to the system we came in on, which is Carby. And, oh no, we don't want to go that way. There we go. Set the route by shorter. And let's try and extract this out. So I'm going to skip ahead to when I just arrive to the nullsec side of the Carby gate and show you what we're going to do with that safe spot. So in some NPC nullsec systems, you'll have stations which anyone can dock at. So what I would do if I wanted to head out and just sort of bank this, safeguard it, is I'd head to the closest system with a station, and I would dock there. I don't want to do that now because I want to try and exit nullsec for the sake of this video. But if I did, and I wasn't sure where the stations were, I would head into the map here. And somewhere down here, it would show stations, services, maybe. No, corporation station, planets, mining, geography, geography, station count. There you go. And here we have one station, two stations there, one station there, and that's how you would find stations close to where you are. Okay, so just entering the final nullsec now before the lowsec jumps. This is the highest likelihood of losing everything you've just spent ages getting, which wouldn't be very fun, and that is why right-click in space, location, D-scan exit gate. That's why we made these bookmarks when we first arrived. So I'm going to warp to the one that I made once I entered warp, further away. There's no one in local, but I'm just setting D-scan to max range and 360-degree angle. Do a scan, and if there were people in local, that would then maybe show up on the D-scan. I'll then be able to reduce the angle to 15, see if they have a bubble up, assume they're camping. And if that was the case, and you still want to leave, then we would move on to our exit perch, 500 kilometers to the right side where we made it. And that should get you past all of the bubbles, unless they've actually bubbled over the gate, in which case I would recommend finding another way around. But normally they'll set a bubble up either before, like 40 kilometers before, or 40 kilometers after. I don't know the exact range. And they would pull you out of warp early so that they have the maximum amount of time to try and mess you up. But in this case, it's clear. So we're going to go ahead and jump out to Carby in lowsec. And I don't think I saw a station in that system. There's structures, but no stations tab. So do we have one there? Nope. Do we have one here? Actually, no. Do we have one here? Yes, there we go. And that's where I want to go. So we got 2 jumps of low sec to get through. Also worth keeping your guard up, but there's no chance of bubbles there, so it is slightly, relatively speaking, safer. No one in local either, nice and quiet at the moment. But now safely back in high sec and ready to dock up in the closest station to drop off the loot, and then maybe get it ready for sale, or maybe just drop it off there in a safer spot and then head back out to do some more scanning. Okay, now with the at least estimated 189 million ISK that we have here, we obviously need to sell it. It's one thing having all the stuff, it's another thing selling it entirely. There's a really easy way to do this, and there's a less easy way to do this. First of all, if you're in a corporation, a lot of corps will have buyback services. You can just sell everything to them. And one of the easiest things to do would be to just sell it to your corp's buyback. They'll normally buy it for like 85 or 90% Jita price. And then in turn, the corp sells that on for some profit. And you also get a nice easy sales thing too. If you have that option, that's how I would recommend doing it. Because hauling this much or more in a little, well, really a frigate or really anything that a new player has access to, or really even at all, does stand the chance of losing it. You'd want to move it in a freighter or something, like a transport ship that's a bit tankier, really, or at least a frigate that can use a covert ops cloak is also probably a good idea. Anything moving it in this frigate does carry risks, although it's possible, even through high sec, you might still get ganked. So if you have a corp buyback service, I would definitely recommend using that. If you don't, if you're not in a corp yet, or your corp just doesn't have one of those services, another way to do it would be to sell it to a corp that does, just a general corp that offers third-party buyback services. There are some corps that offer buyback services. The one that I was thinking of is actually unfortunately closed down now. HighSec Buyback have shut down apparently, so that's no good. But there's probably someone who's replaced them. I just don't know which one I would recommend. But there are other buyback services as well. You could also just risk it and head to a trade hub. See, we're in Amatar Mandate here, so the closest trade hub to us Probably Wrens, actually, but the best one would be Amar. You've got Amar, Wrens, Heck, Didixie, and Jita. Jita being the biggest. Let's see here. It's got stations, Amar Empire Academies, 15 jumps all through high sec. So we would go and sell that stuff there. So I think that's going to be the way that I have to do it. So that's where I would head and just sell it all right there instantly in the market. So I'll go ahead and do that and catch up to you once I get to Amar, if I make it there alive. There's a couple of other ways, really. You could break it up into smaller packages. You could set up a third-party courier program and pay someone else to move it all there if you want to stockpile it till you have like 1 billion in the station, so on and so forth. It's completely up to you how you sell it. But the point is, take it to a trade hub and sell it. Like I say, trade hubs are systems, stations more specifically, where everything, more or less, that you can imagine can be bought and sold for a reasonable price. So you shouldn't be running around buying everything from or selling everything to different stations unless you really think that's fun. While we're traveling here as well, let's talk about the differences between what we just did here in this video in nullsec compared to wormholes. Wormholes work the exact same way as nullsec for the most part, except there's no stargates, so you have to bookmark the entrance and exits. I'm not going to get too deep into wormhole stuff here, but there's one big difference when it comes to hacking, and that is if it's a named site, as it's called, if it says something like Sancha Relay Station or Angel whatever, or Guristas something, then it's okay. You can enter them, there won't be any rats or sleepers, and you'll be okay. But if it's something like a perimeter something or other, anything other than a known sort of side faction of the game in the name of the site, it's going to have sleeper rats in it, and they're going to be quite tough. So I typically, you'll find a lot of them, and if you know learn how to kill the sleepers, you'll make some really good money. But it's certainly not something I would recommend doing your first time out hacking, and definitely not in an exploration frigate. You need something more like a Stratios or something that can, fight. Maybe clear the site out with a Navy Drake or something, and then move in with a cheapo scanning ship after. We can also, while I'm traveling here, look at the ship options. Let's pop that out into a floating window so I can still see where I'm going. There we go. So once I've got 189 million ISK now. If this was me, I'd be looking to upgrade this ship somehow. I do recommend going Omega, like I said, if you enjoy hacking and stuff, because then we'll be able to put a scan range finding array thing on there to get some better scanning, strength, and so on. But there are a few other ships that you could upgrade to. There's the Tech 1 version of the scanning ship that you're in now, which would be for me, it would be the Cheetah. There we go, almost forgot. But you can go to the variations tab here and see all the variations of it. So it would be the Covert Ops Cheetah for me. The Tech 2 of the Heron would be the Buzzard. You've got the Anathema for the Magnate, and you have the I've forgotten the name of the Galente one. The Imicus is Tech 1, and the Helios, there you go, it's Tech 2. You also have the Navy issue of each version, which I think offers the same bonuses, just with some offensive stuff too, and yeah, it does. Yeah, so 5% bonus to Relic and Data Analyzer Strength on the Navy edition of the Probe here, plus 12.5% bonus to light missile and rocket rate of fire per level of Minmatar frigate, and that same 7.5% bonus to core and combat scanner probe strength. So it gives you a bit more of an offensive lineup if you intend to use it for that, which can be quite handy if you're into killing other explorers or you're in a busy area and you want to make some room for yourself. People will start avoiding you once they see that you're going to attack them, which is both good and bad. Good if you want to explore, bad if you're actually looking for those exploration kills. If anyone's on their toes, it means they're probably going to avoid you. And then you have the Sisters of Eve ships, which would be the Astero, would be the frigate size, which is also a really good ship. Looks like this. You get a drone damage bonus, armor bonus, and you get 37% core and combat scanner probe strength by default, 10 relic and data analyzer strength, and this one can use a covert ops cloak as well, but if you're in alpha, you can't. Probably the best alpha ship would be the Metamorphosis, which looks a bit funky. I'm not a fan of its appearance, but it is actually quite impressive. It gives an 80% damage bonus to basically all weapons, 50% damage to drone, 37.5% to core scanner probe strength. Wow. 37.5% reduction to the scan deviation, how much the little dots that you're scanning down move around. 10 bonus to relic and data analyzer strength. It has a 2 warp core strength bonus, so it's harder for people to warp scram you. They need more warp scrams or a more powerful one. And it can also use a covert ops cloak. Meanwhile, it only needs spaceship command level 1. So, very powerful ship, really, and not all that expensive. We probably could afford to buy one now. So there's also much bigger options, like for example, if you want to go a Stratios, there's the Stratios, which I'm not a fan of the visual appearance of the Sisters of Eve ships, but that is an option there too. You can always just check the info page and see that it does give a bonus to scanning stuff. Does the Gnosis give a bonus, or am I dreaming? It does 37.5%, but no bonus to virus strength. The Gnosis is a battle cruiser. You've got the Odysseus, which has come out not too long ago. That's an actually pretty cool ship. That seems to be pretty good for more or less everything. 50% range to relic and data analyzer and so on. Bonus to the strength and the probe scanner strength. So there's loads of scanning ships in this game, but you want a ship that gives a bonus to, where possible, to probe scanning strength and virus strength. And like I said, I do recommend, if you don't want to use any of the free million skill points that we got, you just want to stick these things in the queue here and get them to level 3. If you're Omega, get them to level 3/4, because these are the skills that are going to affect how effective you are, and also the actual ship skill too. If you remember, Minmatar ship skill, in my case, gave me strength to the core probe scanners, and also, yeah, it was just that. It was just probe strength, but 7.5% per level. So I spent some of the skill points from the 1 million that I got into getting that to level 4 as well, and it made things much, much faster and much, much easier. Just a few things you could do. Now 2 jumps from Mar. So we're almost ready to sell the stuff. Okay, so if you decided to skip ahead, or if you didn't, now just arrived in Amar. So we're going to go ahead and see how much we actually get for this stuff. Now, heads up, you would get more money for this stuff in Jita, I imagine. Slightly, at least. And it might not be as close to the estimated value as you would hope. Sometimes it can be more, though, sometimes a bit less. So it's valued at 188, and we're going to get 157 million. So that's the value that the market is currently willing to pay in Amar. And I'm still quite happy with that, to be honest. So let's just go ahead and sell it there. And we have a few items left. Oh, 9.8 million more there as well. So over 160 mil. So actually, 168 mil, not too far off the estimated price at all. And like I said, this is first day. That's already doing pretty good if you ask me. The last thing I want to show you, now that we have some money to spend on this, is what I mentioned at the start, the needle jack, the filament way of getting in and out of just any random nullsec space. So if you don't want to, like when I, at the start of this video, we planned a route, went to Heimatar, and then down to Greater Wildlands, and I made a bookmark on the Stargate and all that stuff, so to make sure we can get out safely. There is another way that's a bit more chaotic and random, but it is still a viable way of doing things, and I'll show you how to do it. For that, you need 3 jump filaments. You need ideally a noise 5 needle jack. You can use a signal 5 too. Signal is going to take you to busy space, in theory, and noise takes you to random space. I think that's the right way around. You need an internal 5 Pochven filament. There's 2 types of the Pochven filament, but I don't think it matters which one. It just takes you to different areas of Pochven space, which is completely off the grid. It's here, this triangle. It's all Triglavian space, where we would transport there and hide out for a few minutes, and then you need the Glorification 5 Divana filament to then get home. So I thought, as a bonus to this video, let's go ahead and buy one of each of these and then show you how it works. So a needlejack, Pochven filament, and glorification. Okay, so with those three things bought, pop them in my cargo hold and head up here to the E at the top here, go to social and fleet and form a fleet with myself. Don't need to have these windows open for now. But you do need to be in a fleet to be able to use these, and then I'm going to warp to a random thing at 100 kilometers, and it's going to be a planet, I think, because you can't do it too close to other objects. Let's warp over to this planet here, doesn't matter which. So what we're going to do first of all is pop the needlejack noise filament, and that's going to transport us to a nullsec system anywhere in the entire game. Don't know where, there's no way of knowing where. And then we're going to see where we land, do some exploration by just setting a random route, and then head back to Pochven space, wait there for 10 or 15 minutes, I forget how much. It's better when you have a cloak, but we don't have one, so we're just going to have to chill. And then after that, enable the return back to high-sec filament, which is the Glorification 5 Divana implant. So let's start by just, I would take some spares of these needle jacks, by the way. You only need one of the other two. But if you're going to be doing this for a while, take some spare needle jacks so that you can, if you're in a bad area that's too busy, or you can be teleported anywhere, so anything can happen, you do want more to be able to get out. But I'm only going to be using the one. So use, oh, okay, you have to turn off safety. There you go. So safety down here above the cap circle needs to be on partial. Activate that. It's activating in 23 seconds. And that's just going to zip us off into, it'll be a safe spot, but it will be in any random system. So at the moment we're here in Amar. Let's see where we go. All right, it's taken us to Fountain, 7x02R. There's 7 people other than myself in local. Let's go ahead and make a safe spot before we do anything. So while we're in warp here, this is where it's put us now. So it's taken us from over here to over here. Save that. And a good thing about this is you can use this for looking for targets if you want to. Like these guys here, Ishtar, Sweeple, Apocalypse Navy issue. These guys are probably all just ratting. Not in a Sweeple maybe, but you just appear. You don't actually go down the chain. You don't get seen by any of their intel channels. More importantly, it just puts you in a situation where you're able to now go, okay, I'm here. I don't need to worry about getting in. Let's go to the map. Let's check statistics, average pilots in space, avoid the busy ones as much as possible. So if this was me, I would probably say, okay, set destination to that place. Add a waypoint there, waypoint there. Gets busy in there, I don't want to do that, but in here is quiet. Head there and head there. And by that point, there's probably people looking for you. Maybe, defending their space. So at that point, I would probably consider how well I've been doing. Is it worth sticking around? Or is it time to needlejack to the next location or return home? And you would do just the same as we did in Great Wildlands, just head around, keeping an eye on local, D-scan, and running sites, and just keeping your eyes out. Fountain's actually quite a busy area. But then when you're done, you can return to Pochven. Instead of having to travel out because you haven't made a bookmark on the Stargate of the high sec or low sec entrance point, and getting out can be a bit exciting. There's 8 people in this system, for example, at the moment, which would be the low sec side. Nobody on the null sec side, so it might still be okay. You can still get out that way if you want to, but let's show you the Pochven way, just so you can say you've seen it. So with the Pochven internal filament selected, I'm going to go ahead and use that. Okay, you got to wait for the Capsulia log off timer to finish. So for now, I'm just going to have to simply chill in this safe spot. This is where a cloak comes in handy. I would be able to cloak up and just wait this timer out. Instead, I'm just going to align to the sun with micro warp drive on and wait 12 minutes. Okay, the timer's just finished. Well, let's get out of here. Now, this one is going to put us into Pochven, which is also kind of nullsec, but it's off the grid. Like I said, this is really the only way to get to it. So we're in Pochven, in a random area. Going to go ahead and make a safe spot where we are. But yeah, now we just wait out this timer 15 minutes, and then finally activate this final one, which will take us back to a random high sec. And there doesn't really seem to be anyone within range, so fingers crossed we'll be okay, but I'm going to just align to the sun with the micro warp drive on and wait 15 minutes. Alright, that timer is done. I got some sneaky vacuuming done there in the background too, so we're finally ready to return to a random high-sec system, so we activate the third filament here. So let's go ahead and just stop the ship this time around. We don't fly off away from the trace. Now, other people, like I said, can warp to those traces in, I think it's nullsec. I'm not sure about low, but I believe it appears like a sino on the overview, so do keep that in mind. Maybe find a quiet system first. All right, there's the high sec one. Let's see where we're brought out. So we started this journey in Amar, and there's no guarantee. It's going to activate in 2 minutes. So we have to wait 2 minutes for this one, not 25 seconds. There's no guarantee it's going to put us anywhere near Amar, or it might put us in Amar. Only time will tell. But I personally prefer to travel the old-fashioned way and make a safe spot like I did at the start of this video. Get in and out of this nullsec stuff myself rather than relying on this, because I mean this takes 15-minute wait time each time, so it takes a good half an hour, and although it's safer in a way, it's not necessarily safe, especially not without a cloak. So if you want my opinion, I think just do it like I showed in the video and go there manually and go out manually. But I just wanted to show you this way so that you can say you've seen it and do it this way if you want to. All right, there we go. That's activated. Kaboom. Jump through that. And this has put us in right Sato, so low sec space, all the way up, well, Jeter-ish. So then really it's low sec, so it's safer. We're not going through Tama, but then we would just simply head out to any low sec system. Where's that want to take us? It's going to try and take us through Tama. We don't want to go that way. Let's go that way. Okay, all right. Well, let's try and get out the back way. All right, it would have to be something like that. But you get the idea. We're now back in known space, and we would just have to make our way out. And it's a little bit safer going through low sec than it is in high. But like I said, I recommend just doing it the old-fashioned way, setting a route to any null sec system based on the map stats, and making a bookmark on the gates and just be able to get in and out safely whenever you want, rather than rely on filaments. And also, that's the free way of doing it too. But yeah, that's everything I know about hacking on a new account as a brand new player. So I hope you find it useful. And if you do, or if you don't, leave a comment and I might read it. Bye.